Hello, church. It's Monday morning. I just want to bring you a couple of thoughts this morning from the book of Job. So, Job chapter 39 is a great chapter. It begins a whole number of questions that God asked Job. In fact, God asked Job 61 questions covering 30 different fields of science. In this particular verse, chapter 39, verses 19 through 25, he asks him questions about the horse. Listen to what he says. Do you give the horse its mane? Do you give the horses power? Do you make him leap like the locust? His majestic snorting is terrible. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons. He laughs at fear. He's not dismayed. He does not turn back from the sword. The quiver rattles against him, the flashing spear and javelin. With shaking and rage, he races over the ground. He does not stand still at the voice of the trumpet. As often as the trumpet sounds, he says, "Aha!" And he scents the battle from afar, and the thunder of the captains at the war cry. Well, I'd like to suggest there are a number of things about the war horse that we can gather strength from. It's in a day like today, people get weary, they begin to fear. Here's what I have to say to you. Today, don't get weary. So let's make some observations about the war horse. First of all, he's formidable. Second of all, he's strong. Next, he has courage. Next, he goes out to meet the weapons. He's fearless. We need a church today that's absolutely fearless. He laughs at fear. He's not dismayed. He's exhilarated by the weapons. The javelin rubs against him, bangs against his thighs, and he rushes toward the battle. He runs toward the battle. There's no retreat. Forward always, backward never. He shakes in rage as he hears the trumpet. He says, "Aha!" And he smells the battle from afar. He runs toward the battle. He shakes in anxiousness to get to the battle. He hears the captains and the war cry. So I'm asking you the question today, do you hear the captain's war cry? The captain is Christ. Do you hear the war cry? There's this great story about a man who stands before this great sculpture of a horse. A horse with his nostrils flared, his eyes forward. He's ready to race forward. And the man looks and he meets the sculptor. He meets the actual man who sculpted the sculpture. And he says, "How in the world did you capture this horse looking like that, ready for the battle?" And the sculptor simply says, "I took a piece of granite and chipped away everything that did not look like a horse." I want you to know in this day, that's what God's doing to your life and my life. He's looking at us. He's beginning to chip away everything that does not look like the war horse. Well, let me close with one final verse in the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 5 says this, "If you run with footmen and they got you tired out, how can you compete with the horses? If you fall down to the land of peace, how will you do in the swelling of the thicket of the Jordan?" Here's your word today. Don't grow weary. Be a war horse for Christ. Hear the captain's voice as he says, "Aha!" Go forward into battle. Don't give up. Stand strong. Have a good day, guys.